Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are doing part four of a five-part series that I'm doing for November, which happens to be Adoption and Permanency Month. So, we're going to talk about the matching process today. So, I invited Shannon to be part of this. She's a wealth of information. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi.
I'm so glad you could join us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem. So the matching process is after the safe home assessment and your pride, etc. So it's a last stage before the child's placed with you. Now, the matching process is different for everyone because every adoption is individualized. So I just want to be clear that Shannon's going to give us a bit of information about her journey and some advice. When she went through the matching process, what it was like. I have a few questions for her, but try and remember that it is very specific to your children, right? Those children's needs and social development matches the child's needs to your profile. So I'll begin with that. So, Shannon, in your matching process, you had to fill out an application. And in that application, there are some criteria. So, can you give us a little bit of an idea about how you selected what criteria or you decided that you and your husband, Mark, were able to welcome into your home?
Yes, so we put maybe for almost every question because every situation is so different and the severities are so different that we wanted to just check off every box and then kind of look into it if the case may happen. So we just wanted to make sure that everything, all the bases were covered. Even ages we put from 0 to 12. So
I
everything
love
was quite
hearing that.
open.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that and you're specific about putting the maybes because when I talk and meet with pre-adoptive parents, uh I explain to them that their skill set, like you may learn more in pride than you're expecting, or you may do research, while you're waiting. You don't know if it's let's say there's a child with autism. What side of the spectrum is that child on? What are their needs? Maybe you'll be more than qualified and you have those skills to take care of that child with autism or FASD, etc., right? So the fact that you put maybes, I love. I always give the example that my son's paperwork said that he started a fire. Now that might scare some pre-adopted people, right? Some participants be like, "Oh my goodness, start a fire." But really, when I looked into his file, he had went out of a camper, started a file in a fire pit, and the parents were in the camper. So really, the fact that you said like put maybes and look into everything, ask questions, that is phenomenal. And your age range, Shannon, I have to say, I love that again, our children's ages, we're speaking about chronological age, don't tend to match their social and emotional age. So
Yes.
when you're thinking, okay, I want a 2-year-old, a baby, well, that 4-year-old might have some quote habits or still be in pull-ups or have issues with speech impediments, etc. You'll probably still get through all the different stages. So take Shannon's advice and think about what you're putting down. Of course, you have the right to be comfortable with your choices, but the more open you are, the quicker you will be matched also, right? So after being approved by social development, so you completed your pride, you completed your safe home assessment. What was your wait time like?
Um, it was kind of, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know it was from start to finish. I think I was looking about 5 years. So it's from the beginning of the process to the end.
Okay, now I think in part of that too, were you during COVID times?
I was, yes. So that
So
that
that
definitely slowed
definitely,
things down.
yeah, it definitely would, right? So 5 years. Now, again, for our pre-adoptive participants that are watching this, that is from the time that she called and requested the adoption application package. You can take time. Some people take months to fill out their application. Some people take a week or 2 days and have it right back into social development. The quicker that on your end you complete items, of course, the better, right? And then it's up to social development after that. So normally it depends on where you are in the province. Pride courses can take as little as, 4 months to get into or more than 2 years to get into. It really is so broad. And that's why we say every case is so specific to you, your criteria, your needs, etc. The more open you are with social development, the better. And the more communication you have with them is great. So, how did you even find out you were a match, though?
Yes, so I got a call from our social worker. Well, I was actually at my office, so it was kind of very unexpected. Um, I didn't even really know what to say to her, actually. I just I hung up with her. I just said I didn't say yes or no. I just said I'll get back to you. I need to talk to my husband. I called him immediately, and then we made that decision right then and there that we would go to the next step.
Now, when you were at work, like you said, you weren't expecting it, you called Mark right away. Were the ages within the age range that you had asked for?
It was almost to the exact because we have a now 13-year-old, but he was 12 when we got matched. So, and then the his sister is 9.
Okay, so sibling set. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Now, we will say that our experience is that even if you have an age range, let's say 0 to 6 or 2 to 6, okay? And a child comes into care and they're 7.5, 8 years old. But the criteria that you put on your application matches the needs of that child, then we typically will see that social development will call you and say, like, this child is of this age. Are you able to read their file with us? Or are you interested? So the fact that you had such a broad range of age, really you fell within your age range, right? A lot of people, and I will tell you that almost everybody I know, it didn't matter when they got the call. It was, for 2 to 6, and that was the 7 or 8 year old. They're like, yes. So,
Yeah.
and you can always change your criteria. So, Pride course is that 27-hour long educational course that I have in part two. And of course, the Safe Home Assessment is part three of these videos. Please look at them, review them, write down questions, and then you can come to us at NBAF and ask, or you can always ask a social worker if you're already in contact with them. Another way to get more information, though, is to come to our support groups and stuff because people like Shannon that were pre-adoptive at the time that came and went through the different sessions, you get information back and forth. You give and you take, right? So Shannon's able now to help our pre-adoptive participants by explaining all this process and the matching. And there's someone else that's in the placement part. There's someone else that's going to be at the group sets in the pride. So it's really important to reach out to your support system while you're going through this. But once you're informed that you're a match, what was your next step?
Yes. So then it was meeting the children, which is a quick meet and greet. You the first time was at the foster home. And then once we kind of agreed, like all everybody had to be on the same page, including the children because of the ages. So once we were all in agreement, we met, but once a week after that, and I gradually turned into twice a week. So every Saturday, and then eventually turned into every Friday and Saturday.
How long did it take before you start having them overnights?
It took a good month at least. It was a very gradual process.
I'm glad that you're saying that because there's really, you don't want to rush this side of it, right? Transitions are hard on the children, and transitions can be hard on the pre-adoptive parents. Even though you're very excited and you're like, okay, just let them move in today. This gives you that opportunity to get to know their likes and dislikes. You can ask them questions where your children were 9 and 12, right? So you can say, like, what color would you like your bedroom? Or what foods do you eat at supper? Like, what should we have stocked in the fridge for you, right? So you can ask questions. Take this time to
Exactly.
really get to know them during the visits. So can I
Exactly,
ask you
yes.
what a couple of the visits were like? Like, did you go to Kingswood, like in Fredericton? Did you walk the parks? Like, what did you decide to do? How did you decide to plan these visits?
Yes, it was the beginning process was more difficult because it was before they came what came to the house and things like that. So it always had to be something fun to do. But we did Kingswood once, and then we did a lot of parks and walks, and sometimes just going for a drive, going for ice cream, things that we were able to talk.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that because it's truly about that connection. And I always say, same with any child, you really don't want to set the tone that every single minute or every single day with you is going to be this exciting, time where we're going to buy you this and, get to do that. There's the other times that are just as important, or maybe even more important, that we're going to talk. We're going to get to know each other. I'm going to be
Exactly.
able
Yes.
to know you well enough to help you when you come into my home. I'm going to be ready for that. Right. So the fact that you guys didn't choose activities that kept them constantly busy, but yet you did a balance of both. I love that. Um, you must have been very excited to have a time set
Yes.
up with the children. What were your expectations though? So if you get the call, which I did actually, like I adopted a 5.5-year-old from care, right? When I got the first call, it caught me so off guard. Same as you said you were at work. I just got the call and said, after I hadn't heard from them for at least 6 months, maybe even a year, and they said, "Are you still interested in adopting?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Okay, thank you," and hung up. Well, of course, that left me like totally stunned. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what's this mean?" I didn't even know who I could call to say who called me. And they called me back the next day, which was a long night when you're waiting for that call. And they called me back the next day and they said that, we have a match for you. Now, the first time that I was nervous. Like the first time that I was going to go meet my son, I was nervous as heck. So I don't know what expectations I had had because it's been a while. So can you tell us some of your expectations that you're thinking about when you were meeting them?
I was also very nervous. And it was quiet. Like, I don't think anyone really knew what to say. But what we did do prior to meeting them, which was kind of nice, is we gave them a little photo album of the house, the bedrooms, some of our likes, like so so they at least got to see who we were before they actually met us. So that really helped.
I love that idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, so so in it, did you put like what activities? Let's say you guys like to hike or you like to swim. Like, did you guys have a page where it was like listed that kind of items for them?
Yeah, it was a little bit like we did like I said, it was a photo album and I would put like took a picture of a guitar because my husband likes to play. And then I would do a little description about who's in who's the one that's interested in these type of items. And then, like I said, I took pictures of the bedrooms, which was just plain because all we had was a bed and dresser. But then I also said that this is for you to decorate the way that you choose.
I feel like just I'm so the word that comes to mind is proud. Like when you talk like this, I'm just so excited that this is how you started your journey. And you're so informed, like to allow them that autonomy, like to, have a part in decorating their bedrooms. It's having that ownership to something is very important to children that have been in care. And most children have been in one, two, three, four foster homes. Like this is their permanent home, right? So they want to make it home. I love that. How many visits did you have with them? do you think over that? You said it was about at least what, 2 or 3 months that
It
before they moved in with you?
it was. We met them, I think it was the end of March, April, something like that. And then they moved in the end of June, right after school.
Yes. I remember us talking about this between you and I, stating that my son moved in the end of March, almost right before Easter, the first week of April.
Mhm.
And sorry, that's when I met him. And he moved in June 26th, what happened to have been the last day of school that year. So
Yes,
can
it's
I
really
ask you,
small.
part of the reason for that? Did they explain, like, did your children have to move schools or even zones in order to move into your home?
Yes, it was a completely different zone. So that was
Okay.
the main reason.
Okay, so that makes great sense and a smart move in order to give them the time to finish their year at their school without transitioning them during such an important time, during school months and their ages. Like that's really important, 9 and 12. Um, can I ask you then, is there strategies that you had, or did the social workers help you a little bit in regards to preparing them to leave certain friends and their foster home than to come to a different zone because they would be zoned to a different school? So did you have any issues with a 9 and 12-year-old have to, or could they stay in contact with their friends?
Um, they can't physically see them as much as I would like them to. But they do with technology now. They do still have contact with them, which is nice. Um, but I didn't really get any help when it comes to strategies. It just kind of taking things day by day, still taking it day by day and seeing what their needs are each day.
Well, see, you just named a strategy without even knowing it. See, that's how skilled you are. Like literally taking your time, taking it day by day, attuning to them and seeing what their needs are, and then answering that and open communication with them, like would you, and you provide them an avenue, which is the technology, in order to stay in touch, right? Um, Shannon, look, you gave strategies without even knowing it. You're so good at this. To end off, I'd like to ask you, what advice would you give to someone who receives that call that they were matched?
I guess the biggest thing is just, for one, take a deep breath, kind of relax because it is very um, going to be emotional. It's chaotic at times. So it's just having those conversations with you and your partner and the the kids and kind of just taking it because every child is completely different on how fast, how slow they want to take the process and what their needs are. Even with the siblings, they're at different stages and they always have been. So you gotta have to just take things day by day because it's gonna change a lot.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But that's raising kids, right? Like everyone's life is like that. It's just there's added layers and complexity to children that are in care. So your advice is phenomenal advice. When you say take a deep breath, I totally agree. Like to me, that not only physically, but I like, okay, take a deep breath, but I
Yeah.
say take that time. Like that to me means take the time to think about your decision. You are allowed to ask questions. Find out why
Yes.
you were matched, right? Like ask
Y-
them and say, I always say that that's something that a lot of people that I'm involved with or have experience with didn't ask. Like, why were we chosen for these children? Once you find out why you were chosen, not only is that very special and unique to your circumstances, but it gives you information, which is power, to say, we're the right match. I understand why they chose us for these children.
Yes, we had
So,
that conversation too with our social worker.
did you?
Yeah.
See, my goodness, you're ahead of the game here. See, like, so did you think of that automatically? Like you and Mark decided to say, like, why us?
Well, we didn't think about it right away, but once we've met them a couple times and the ups and downs were just well unreal with so eventually we did ask like just to make sure that this is the right match.
Right. And you keep in communication with the social worker, then you can ask
Yes.
questions. Um, you're not in this journey alone. And again, reach out to NBAF and to different participants because they've all been through, not all of them, I'm talking about post-adoptive people, but all the post-adoptive people have been through all of these stages. So the advice that Shannon's giving us here today is unmeasurable. And I just love the fact that you are, I'll say, child-center focused. And what I mean by that is you literally everything you've told us today was about the children first, saying, okay, like, what do they need? What can we give them? How should we do this? How should we meet? What's the best way for them to come into the home? Do they need more time? And then you still put an emphasis on you and Mark to say we need to have communication. We need to be on the same page, right? And then you talked about how important it is to say, you need to ask questions to your social worker. My goodness. Shannon, I don't even know why you're a match, but I can see just from this interview today why you were a match. Your skill set is great. I can't wait to see the rest of your journey with your two beautiful children. And I congratulate you and Mark on expanding your family. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for doing this today. It's going to be great for the pre-adoptive participants to listen to this and hear every journey is unique and theirs will be unique too to them.
Yes.
Thank you, Shannon. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.